Hi guys, welcome back to my channel English in a Blink, and today we are going to talk about vocab on how to write essay. Yes, well, I'm not going to be giving you like words which you have to use because I don't know which essay you're going to be writing. But what I am going to do instead is when you are linking them, when you are reasoning, or when you are talking about certainty, or you're talking about summarizing your essay, or there's a condition. So when you have used something before, what can you use next time? Because remember, repetition is never good. All right. So starting with when you have some kind of addition. So you've said something and you want to add something to what you've already said. So you can use words like in addition. Let's say you've used in addition before. So the next time you're going to be talking about the same thing, you're adding something. So then you can say similarly. You can also use your likewise. Then you can say as well as. So something you said before and then you are adding something. So as well as I said before, or besides. Another thing that I want to say, all right, that's another way of adding something. Then another thing that you can say is furthermore. All right, so you talked about something before and then you want to add, and let's say there are lots of things which you are adding. Okay, so you don't want to repeat, you don't want to say in addition to, all right? So all these things when you are adding something, so you can use your different words to link them. So like I said, furthermore, also, or moreover, then not only this, but. Okay, so you said something about before and then you want to add something, so you can say, oh, not only this, but something else, that another point that you are putting like an addition to something. Okay, or besides this, or in the same way. Okay, so all these things you can use when you're talking about addition, when you're adding something to it. Then when you are sequencing, all right, so you have your sequence, firstly, secondly, thirdly. This everybody understands, all right? So firstly, and then secondly, and then lastly, all right? So this you understand. But let's say there is something you've already used it before, all right? And there are sequence like you want to use again. So then you can, instead of saying firstly, or if you've used it before, so you can initially, all right? Or you can say, you can use it as a reason. So one reason for this is this, and then the another reason. So you can sequence like that when you're giving like a reason. Then you can say to begin with. Okay, so you can use that to begin with, or you can talk about it as an advantage. So one of the advantages, and then you can say another advantage of this is whatever you are talking about. So this is, these are another ways of when you are sequencing something. Or then, plain old then is also good, or something like you've said earlier, I mentioned, and then you can say later on. Okay, so that's one way of sequencing. Then you can also say at this point I want to say this, and then following this. Okay, so that's another way when you want to link something that you've already said. So then you want to follow this. So at this point, this is how I feel, and following this, another way of sequencing. Okay, and then you can say, oh, in the final stage. So you said at first, or at second, and then at final stage. So this is like your final call, or you're like like you're giving your reasons to the first reason, or one reason, or the another one, and then you can say like this is the final reason of something. So all these are different ways when you are sequencing something. Okay, and do not repeat. And then when you're talking about, let's say, some kind of consequence. Okay, so then you can always use your as a result. All right, so this is one thing which most of you use, isn't it? I mean, I get to read this in so many essays. Oh, as a result. Okay, so this is common. I'm sure you know this. So then you can also say thus, or so. So is also very common. Therefore, consequently. All right, so you've said something before and then you are talking about as, like this is the consequence. So consequently, thereby, or eventually. Yeah, eventually can be used. And let's say you're talking about something in the sense of like you're giving something sort of like a reason, and then you say, oh, in that case, this is what you should be doing. All right, so all these are different ways when you're talking about your consequence. And the next thing is contrast. So when you're giving your contrast, however, this is something which is, again, very common now, all right? So you can use your however on one hand and on the other hand. So this is again when you are like two different contrasts, or you probably showing your pros and the cons. So then on the one hand, on the other hand. So yes, this you can use. Then in spite of or despite the fact. Don't make that mistake of when people are using it and then in spite of or despite of or something like that. All right, so in spite of and despite the fact. So remember that. And then you have your although. Okay, but, very common one. So if you have used but once, do not repeat it. All right, so but, it's very annoying to read that. So but just once maybe, all right, and then you use something else. So otherwise, on the contrary, instead of, in contrast, or alternatively. All right, so these are all your different ways when you are talking about a contrast. So use your different contrast, different words, all right, when you are linking something. Repetition is never good, okay? So then you are giving like certainty about something, or certain about something. So obviously, all right, this is again very common. So if you're starting your sentence with that, you're giving your opinion and you're saying about certainty with obviously, so you always place a comma, all right? Do not forget that. So obviously, certainly, of course, or undoubtedly. These all can be used when you are talking about certainty. Then let's say you're giving a reason. So reason is given with your good old as, okay, since, so, because. All right, these are common ones. You all use them. And then you can also use your owing to. All right, you're giving like a reason. So owing to something that you've already explained. So owing to that. So you're explaining your reason, and that's the reason why. This is again something that you can use. Or in other words, all right, or what else can you say? In order to, that is also one thing that you can say. All right, so all these things can be used when you're talking about your reason. And then comes your conditions. So I'm sure you know conditions, if. Okay, so that's very popular. If. So what can you use apart from if? So you can say unless, you can say provided that, or depending on, whether, or unless. Okay, so all these things can be used apart from if, not just if. So use your different things when you're talking about conditions. So different linkers. Okay, so not just your plain old if. Then comes your summary. So when you want to summarize your essay, okay, so then you can say in conclusion, or you can say summarizing, or lastly. If you've used your, firstly, secondly, so then you definitely use your lastly or finally. So you started with, let's say initially and then finally. So yes, or to sum it up, or to conclude, or in short. Okay, so all these things can be used for your summary. But always remember, like I mentioned so many linkers today, do not repeat yourself. So whenever you're writing an essay, if you have not already seen my video on how to write a good essay, so I have that, go watch that. And again, you can come back and look at this one, which talks about vocab when you're writing your essay. I hope this is going to help you next time you're going to write your essay. So if you like it, what do you have to do? Press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and spread the word. Until we meet next time, bye for now.